Welcome back to the channel. So tonight, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to get pretty good. There's a lot of people out there that think that Tyler Robinson is guilty. Well, this video is going to kind of refute everything that you think about this, and it's going to make you ask a lot of questions. So I've been watching some YouTube videos of a guy by the name of Nate. He is retired Special Forces, and his name is Valhalla VFT. Love to listen to him. He's been on the Alex Jones show. He's been talking to a lot of people, and I really do enjoy his content. He's talking about in this video, there are content creators out there that are stating that they know people that have told them that an autopsy was actually performed on Charlie. So they're giving us the contents of the autopsy. And Nate is going to break it down for you. And if what they're saying is true, along with the medical examiner, this is going to blow the FBI's theory completely out of the water. So, all right, let's get into it and let's see what he has to say.
They are claiming they actually know exactly what is said in that medical examiner's report, and we're going to take a look at what this report actually says. And I got to tell you guys, I don't know how to put this nicely. If this medical examiner report or autopsy report is true, the FBI and the prosecution are, let me put it lightly, I guess, because essentially the idea that Tyler Robinson took the shot from where he took it at the angle he took it and caused the damage it did to Charlie with the round that's used is actually not possible. So this is going to be a very interesting video. Let's jump in. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps the channel. All right, let's do this, guys. All right, first thing I got to say up front, like always, is we are operating under massive assumptions here that this information is true. It is correct, because I'll tell you when it comes to an autopsy report, A, it's private. 2, it's evidence for a massive murder trial, and the idea that the law enforcement are just handing this out to influencers, not a case. So this is hearsay through hearsay, okay, at the end of the day. Somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, all right? So take all this with a massive grain of salt. I'm not saying these people are liars. I'm just saying that's what we're operating under. All right, first thing we're going to take a look at is what this report says.
My understanding from speaking with a couple of people high up at Turning Point USA, they let me know that the injury took place right below the jaw in the C2.
Uh-oh.
The bullet crashed through C2 all the way through C7.
Uh-oh.
And then they found the bullet lodged in that meaty area around T1, the thoracic first vertebrae.
All right, so I don't know Stephen Gardner. I don't really watch his stuff. I'm going to assume he's operating in good faith here and that he actually heard what he heard. And, you know, somebody else also came out and said that they've seen or supposedly heard about this same autopsy report.
I confirmed, obviously, because I have connections, and I confirmed that the autopsy was done. I don't want to say too much, but the autopsy yielded where the entry wound was and how the bullet killed him. It's already been determined. They found the bullet lodged in his body. They can tell you exactly where, what was severed, what killed him, where the bullet traveled from his neck down through his body. They have it all, fragmentation of the round that spouted through his body. They have all of that.
Okay, they have it all.
They have it all. So now this is where it gets interesting. So Mr. Nate is going to break it down. He has a chart, and he's going to tell you what they are saying on the medical report. And we're going to see if it matches ballistics and science. So stay tuned.
Scientifically, let's jump into it. All right, guys, so basically a middle school math problem. This isn't that hard to figure out. We know that, according to the medical examiner report, this 30-06 round came in, hit him in the C2, traveled down. All right, you guys are going to notice some huge problems with this right away, but let's go ahead and, you know, just look at this objectively. All right, we got a protractor out. Let's put that right here on the C2. Okay, we do know, again, from where Tyler Robinson was shooting, it was a 9-degree slope with a 9-degree offset, essentially meaning almost directly on at a 9-degree slope, which we can travel out from our protractor from the C2 here at 9 degrees. Perfect. All right, as we pull the protractor off, what's the first huge glaring issue you guys are going to see here? Oh, well, if Charlie Kirk was sitting level, sort of parallel to the ground with his jaw, which he was, let me show you that real quick. All right, so we can see Charlie Kirk is not got his head all the way back like this. He's sitting pretty much flat, looking at the crowd, sort of jaw parallel to the ground as he gets hit. Boom, hit. So you can see that, right? It's actually a little bit of a tilt down even, okay? So let's look at this anatomically. All right, this is essentially exactly how Charlie Kirk is sitting. And they want to tell you the medical examiner report confirms he was first hit in the C2 vertebrae right below the base of the skull. Biggest problem I see with that from the angle Tyler Robinson shoots him from is that would have hit him in the teeth or even above the teeth. There is no possible way that this round came from a 9-degree angle and a 9-degree slope and hit the C2 while not blowing through Charlie Kirk's face. It's not a thing. We also can see the C2 is not where that gunshot wound is. I can show you that right here. All right, as you can see here, yeah, he's got some tilt back now after he's been hit, but that round, sorry for my beard, that round is 2-3 inches below his chin. Okay, this round is not all the way up, just underneath the base of the jaw. It's pretty far down. I would say that's closer to the C4 or the C5 to where that round, to me, looks like he got hit. So big problems right away with this medical examiner report, but let's keep looking at this. All right, so we know this is not possible. Okay, this definitely didn't happen. But if we look at the actual sort of injury to Kirk, looks like he's shot closer to about right here, okay, on that left side of the neck. Now, if we look at it this way, now we can make this work for the location of the shot if it inches and hits the C5, but that's not what they're saying. They're saying it hit the C2, traveled down all his vertebrae. It doesn't work. Next thing with this, we're talking about a 30-06 round. Right now you have this 30-06 round traveling at 24 to 2,700 feet per second, or even less, doesn't even matter. Hits him, let's say, hits him in the C2, if this magic bullet that doesn't go through his face somehow. That then refracts straight down into the T1. Yeah, that's not what a 30-06 round is going to do if it hits a human neck vertebrae. We know it's going to blow right through. But even if there was some weird refraction, bullets aren't going to refract almost 90 degrees. We've talked about that, and then keep their actual velocity to be able to do that much damage. Not really a thing. Again, so with just basic middle school math, we already disproved this whole medical examiner's report, or the fact that the shot was taken from where it was taken, a 9-degree slope from straight on. Charlie Kirk sitting flat, parallel chin to the ground. Not possible. It would have hit him.
Just think about this, guys. If this is truly the medical examiner's report, then they have someone in jail who's completely innocent. Now, this is just crazy. This is crazy, but it's science. I mean, he gets so into it and he goes in different directions. So you're going to see there's no way that Charlie was hit from the front. There's no way. Not at that angle. Not at that angle. So where did the shot come from? Did it come from the back? Did it come from the side? He's going to go over it and he's going to show you with the same chart what he thinks.
In the teeth, not 5 inches lower than the teeth. It's not a thing. So because we know that's not possible, if we're assuming the medical examiner report is true and accurate, now we have to look at alternatives to how this could have taken place. Okay, so let's talk about a few. All right, so I've seen a bunch of different people talking about now, because of this report, this has to prove that Charlie Kirk had body armor, because again, it's an impossible shot. It's an impossible angle that it didn't hit him in the face, which, okay, that's kind of an interesting theory, but let's talk about that, all right? Now we're talking about body armor, which again is going to be down here on the chest. Again, 9-degree slope. This is still where the shot came from. Here's the entrance wound. Okay, let's talk about the possibility that the bullet refracted off his body armor. First, let's also make sure that we acknowledge it's been disproven he had body armor on. And not only that, TP USA has publicly stated he had no body armor on. So if you're going to operate under the assumption he has body armor on, you are calling TP USA nefarious liars. I'm not prepared to do that, because why would they purposefully lie about him having body armor on? That seems bizarre to me. But hypothetically, TPUSA is lying about this and he had body armor on. Let's look at it. Now, we're still talking about a 30-06 round, okay? A 30-06 round that supposedly comes down, hits him in the body armor, which, by the way, if he had body armor on so small that you couldn't see it through that tiny little shirt, it wouldn't be strong enough to stop a 30-06 round to begin with. But we're in hypothetics here. That then, okay, this almost makes me laugh doing this. That then refracts off the body armor, comes all the way up here at a 90-degree angle to hit this C2. and then re-refracts straight back down to the T1. Guys, bullets are not pinballs. They don't do this, okay? They refract and do weird things as they move through, but changing total direction in almost 180 degrees is not possible. This is Newtonian physics says that's not a thing, okay? So again, I mean, even Rob O'Neill talks about body armor here, and it's actually what he talks about here is interesting because it actually is going to bring us into the next possibility.
But that was not an entry wound that we saw. We saw an exit wound. So where'd that bullet come from? You don't bleed like, and I've shot guys closer than the camera.
Now, this is the guy who shot Osama bin Laden, okay? Point blank. So watch.
Was and an entry wound doesn't look like that. An exit wound does. Why did his shirt move the way it did? When I've shot people, their shirts didn't move like that. And then the initial reaction was, well, he was obviously wearing body armor and it was deflection. One, no, he wasn't wearing body armor, and two, it doesn't deflect like that off of body armor. Why was his shirt moving from right to left? Why were people being interviewed saying, yeah, they came from my left to right, from his right to left, immediately shut down?
Okay, so interesting. Yeah, the idea that we'll talk about rounds too, because people say, well, it depends on the round, the 30-06 round. The idea that body armor, that blasts off body armor, goes straight up, hits his neck, comes straight back down. It's not a thing. It's not physically possible, regardless of what anybody wants to tell you. Okay, based off of based off of the medical examiner report's injury, is it possible that a round refracts off body armor at an angle and comes up into his neck? Sure, but not at that extreme angle, and then definitely isn't reversing 180 degrees and keeping its velocity. It's just not how things work. But make the medical examiner's supposed report work. Now, it also makes the narrative not work, but we're trying to figure this out, okay? So let's look at this. Again, we know he supposedly gets hit in the C2 first by the medical examiner's report. Well, let's look at that. We know where the actual wound is, which is here. Okay, well, we know it can't have come from that slope. Again, it goes straight through his teeth, not a thing, unless his head was like literally all the way back. So what would it take for this round to have hit him where it hit him as an entrance wound and hit him in the C2 first? We can find that out pretty easily. We can start at the C2. We can come down with our angle here, and we can see that it actually would take a 38-degree upward angle for this to have potentially hit him where it hit him and then also hit the C2 first if he was shot from the front. Does that make a whole lot of sense? Well, maybe if the tunnel theory works. I don't know. That one seemed weird at the time. And then also keep in mind, the round still has to travel then straight back down, which bullets don't do. They don't do this, okay, guys? You would expect a bullet to refract out this way, refract up this way. It's not going to reverse this massive direction back the other way, okay? So I'll make it very clear. If he was shot from the front, in the location he was shot, and it hit him in the C2 first, it had to have come from an upward angle. It could not have come from a 9-degree downward slope. It's not anatomically possible. But this makes other theories actually possible. Now, the really popular theory that Rob O'Neill just talked about, and Range Day Bros talked about, a lot of people have talked about, which I have not discounted at all, have talked about him being shot from up and behind him. This is very interesting because this actually, besides one little piece, which is that they found around inside of him, this actually potentially makes the medical examiner report work with the injury and ballistics that all potentially work. Let's take a look at that. The C2 is going to be just behind the jaw there, as we've seen it, right? Now, if he gets shot from the back upper right, and again, we don't know what that angle would be because this is all hypothetical, right? We don't know where that shooter was, but anywhere you would think around the way the buildings were, they're all about that height, anywhere from like a 10 to maybe 15-degree angle here. Now, all of a sudden, if he's getting shot in the back right of the head that comes beneath the skull, anatomically, this actually works. It comes in the back underneath his skull, hits him in the C2, and then blows out at a normal refraction angle exactly where we expect to see the exit wound in this case. That actually works perfectly ballistically, anatomically, to have created that initial impact into the C2. It probably blows down here through the C4, does some damage through C5, C6, through C7 through cavitation. The biggest issue here is this is an exit wound, which means there would be no bullet found inside Charlie's body. That goes against the medical examiner's report. All right, and then there's one final potential here, and that was actually brought forward by Peak Prosperity. This is a fantastic video if you haven't seen it either. And he actually had the theory that the shot came from technically the front, but from a much more drastic angle, almost like a 45-degree angle. So we can look at that here too. All right, now, so this theory states that it must have come from a far more horizontal angle, right? It's because the front angle doesn't work at all, which I agree with, to come maybe up underneath the jaw. Even then, it's going to be tough where this comes to get to the C2. I don't think you do. I still think you get in the C4, but to cause the actual damage at a much more steep angle, now all of a sudden, the refraction as this comes in and comes through here, the refraction comes down and potentially works that way. That's actually a bullet refraction that makes sense. All right, but then the biggest problem we have with this is then this probably doesn't hit him in the C2 either. So where are we left? What's the problem? Well, the problem is that the official narrative with Tyler Robinson, where he took the shot from the angle he took the shot, like I told you at the start of the video, with the type of weapon that he used, is not possible and does not match the medical examiner's report anatomically or mathematically. It doesn't work. So you have to then either say the medical examiner's report can't be right or Tyler Robinson isn't the shooter. These things cannot be true at the same time as far as we're sort of understanding it with science and math and physics. So what's the real story? Don't know. I don't know, guys. There's some very compelling things with a lot of different theories. But again, if I'll just say this to wrap the video up, if the prosecution thinks it is going to, unless they have some crazy evidence we don't have, but let's say this medical examiner's report is true and they're going to go with the official narrative. They walk into that courtroom against the Menendez brothers legal team, one of the best legal teams they could put together, and you walk in there with some stuff an 8th grader can disprove through basic math and a protractor. Good luck.
Totally. I mean, the Menendez brothers attorney is coming down from California, going over from California and going to represent him. So they are going to absolutely mop the floor with this prosecution, with this information. I mean, there's no way that they're not going to. So the thing is, I mean, if this doesn't put a question in your mind of what actually happened that day to Charlie, I mean, honestly, my personal feelings, I don't really like to give my personal feelings, but on this, I will. I don't feel like Tyler Robinson is the one that took the shot. He may have been involved. He may have been a distraction. He may have been a decoy. He may have been a patsy. I'm not for sure, but I definitely do not think he is the one that took the shot that day. Something else is in the brew. Okay. Something's going on. There's too many inconsistencies with this case, with the behavior of a lot of people that are, the people at Turning Point USA. Their behavior is off to me. Everything is just very odd. So that and the FBI's narrative and what we just talked about with Nate, there's no way Tyler took that shot. But I want to hear from you in the comment section. What do you think? I mean, when I watched this video, I was mind blown. Now, I'm going to drop his name on YouTube in the comments, or not in the comment section, but in the details of it. And I want you to click on and watch his videos. He's really good. He debunks the shot being from a 30-06. He actually goes out into the field and shows you what a 30-06 can do. And I think it's interesting. I think you need to go watch him. Make sure to subscribe to him. If you're not subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe. Tickle that bell icon so you can know when I go live and when I have a video. I hope you guys have a great night. And please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this. I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel Tyler's guilty? Do you feel like the FBI's lying to us? Do you feel like it's a cover-up? What do you think? Put it in the comment section. I would love to hear it. All right, guys, have a good night. And until next time,